Welcome to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Joyous conversations about what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about our one reality. You have nothing to fear. You are eternal and you are perfectly loved. Knowing the truth changes everything. Now, here's Roberta.
Welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes, and I'm so happy you're with us today. My dear ones, today, once again this week, our guest is someone who has no book, and she's new to Seek Reality, so I had to do a lot of figuring things out beforehand for you. Nicole Frolick refers to herself as a practical mystic. This is new to me, so I had to kind of figure out what is this, and she'll explain it to us. She does intuitive life coaching, inner child healing, and the reclamation of one's secret self. So we've got to figure this out with her. She says that this process uncovers the hidden strengths, talents, and untapped purpose of the soul. She has more than, and look at her and you won't believe this, she started in the cradle. She has more than 25 years of experience in the realm of healing the body, the mind, and soul connections, and she has discovered methods that can help people to rebirth themselves and emerge as their most authentic self on the greatest path to their destiny. I love that. I love that sentence. Nicole is the host of Enlighten Up, which is a weekly podcast, and founder of The Forbidden Journey, a premium coaching program. I can't wait to hear the story she has to tell. She has produced over 50 guided meditations, and she offers a variety of online courses through her Alchemy Academy, which is designed to help people to develop their intuitive abilities, heal their inner child, and develop their inner self, their masculine, their feminine energies, and to advance their personal growth from linear development into quantum leaps that she says are logarithmic in nature. Now, why did I bring her on with you today? She has a great agent who told great stories, and I just said, I have to meet this woman, and so the only way I meet people is if I have them on as guests. Nicole, welcome. I just can't wait to hear what you have to tell us, so let's get going.
Roberta, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on your show. It's going to be a lot of fun, I promise.
I can't wait to get started. Tell me more about the kinds of problems you can best address for people, because these are many mouthfuls of things you say you do. What are the kinds of problems people come to you with?
Well, I think the overarching theme is feeling stuck in their life, like there's something holding them back, or they keep hitting this invisible wall in either one or multiple areas of their life, and lacking a sense of direction or purpose or clarity on what to do next. And a lot of that can be uncovered through what I've now developed, like you said, the Forbidden Journey program. It's something that I've developed that has birthed itself through the decades of my own healing and what I've utilized, combining inner child healing, combining a little bit of astrology, combining generational trauma healing, and also just diving into all the parts of you that you keep hidden from the world because either you feel ashamed, you're afraid, you doubt yourself, and how hidden in that darkness, which is a lot of where our shadow is also untapped potential and hidden treasures that could catapult you into a destiny that you feel completely aligned with. But so many of us hold ourselves back. And so that wall that so many people feel like they're hitting, it's my job to help you understand what that wall is and how to tear it down.
So were you damaged in childhood? Did you feel that you were damaged in some way in childhood?
It's interesting, the word damaged. I don't feel like I was damaged. I felt like I certainly went through traumatic things. I was sexually abused at 5 or 6 years old by my mom's uncle. Which I didn't discover until only 6 years ago. I didn't realize, I didn't remember it. And the memory started to flood back somatically first. All of it started to come back as a feeling, and my body started to react in a very interesting way at a gynecology appointment of all places. But at that point, I had been doing a lot of healing. My healing journey started and has predominantly been around my femininity, my reproductive area, all the things that would make you feel like a woman, biologically at least. And so that has been where a lot of my journey has started. And so I grew up with my parents love me. I have two younger sisters and a brother, and my family was like a typical normal family. Now, do we have problems? Absolutely. Our household wasn't conducive to sharing emotions very healthfully. It's, a lot of screaming, a lot of shouting, a lot of tears, and then making fun of people who are crying. And so there was always that. And yeah, very normal. But these things, what a lot of people don't understand, especially when they come to me for inner child healing, is that we often look back on our childhood from the perspective as being the adult. And what we need to stop doing that and look back as the child that we were. And the child that we were didn't have all of the conscious tools that we have today, doesn't have the awareness that we have today, didn't also have the understanding of who our parents were, what was really going on. And then also, as a child, your world is so much bigger. Like everything is brand spanking new. And so when we think about first impressions, we know that first impressions last. And so all of our first experiences are things that really get imprinted into who we are. And if they're a painful one, and it could be as simple as just being ashamed in a classroom, like people making fun of you, right. This stuff really starts to mold and shape who you are and how you're going to make your choices going forward in life. And so when we stop looking at it from the perspective of us as the adult and remember it as the child, we actually can move through the healing, one, much faster, and two, more effectively.
I think that's really true. And I think a lot of people don't realize how outsized some of those experiences really can be for us. I mean, I look back now, too, at some experiences I had as a child that even today are much bigger in my mind than they should have been. They were tiny experiences, and I know they were, and yet they feel shameful to this day, and I know they shouldn't have been. Do you find that is some of those experiences really hold people back even now in their lives?
Yeah. I mean, I just remember simple moments of me being upset about something. Like I had my feelings hurt and I started crying, and then my brothers, my sisters, my father all ganging up on me and just making fun of me. Like, and to them, it was probably just lighthearted making fun of me, but it really impacted me and made me feel extremely ashamed of my feminine energy, of being able to feel my emotions. And so I had to disconnect. I stopped allowing myself to cry. And there were just so many things of needing to push me more into my masculine energy. And so I disassociated from all of my own femininity, which is where a lot of my gifts lie and where a lot of my power lies. And I had to learn how to be independent, to do everything for myself. And that was great for survival. But when it came to wanting to thrive in my life and have everything that I wanted, that doesn't work anymore. And so I had to start my real deep healing journey started around 30, 31, going into like self-love and all of that. But I had to start facing the first stages of it at 20. And it was my relationship with my father that was coming to the forefront in how I just didn't feel like I just had a lot of resentment towards him. I just felt like I was never enough. And I was always trying to win his love. And, I just always had to be at the top. I always had to be number one. And also there's this expression, like I got used to being breadcrumbed emotional love not because my father didn't love me, but because he had supported an entire family. My mom watched us at home. So he had to work all day, was gone from sometimes 6 or 7 in the morning and not home till 7, 8, 9, sometimes not until midnight. So there were days I would never even see my father. And when he did come home, we were all excited. And of course, there's 4 of us. And so we all had to fight for some attention. And then he was exhausted and he'd fall asleep on the sofa watching TV. And so I started to learn that, love comes in little doses and you wait for those moments. And so I would find myself being attracted to emotionally unavailable men who wouldn't physically be able to show up for me. And I would be waiting for the one moment where they'd be like, okay, I've got time now. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And so, but then they'd be gone for for weeks, if not months. And, this was a pattern. And I realized, this is what my inner child, the little girl inside me, believes love is, just because that's what I was conditioned with in the way our household was run, not because anyone was doing anything wrong. It was just the dynamics of how our family operated. Right. And so understanding that really shifted the game for me dating wise too.
Wow. Do you mainly advise women
No, I have, I mostly work with women, but I have male clients as well. I love working with men. And I find that more men are getting more open. I think women are a little more open to healing and talking about their stuff, but I think men are really coming into that and stepping more into that to, really step into their own power. And so I would say it's about a 70-30 split on men and women, or women to men. Yeah.
I think you're right about men being more open to having emotions.
Yeah.
Even being aware of and acknowledging the fact that they have emotions.
Yeah.
Because in earlier generations, they almost didn't allow themselves to acknowledge the fact that they had emotions. They were tough and they needed to be tough.
Yeah. You want to know an interesting revelation I've come across through dating and relationships is because of the nature of the work I do, whenever I would go on a date or ever, men would just open up to me. Like they just share so much with me. And I often would find, the conversation would, because of my age, being 47, a lot of men I date have been previously married. And, because just out of my curiosity, I would ask men, and of course, I don't think this is only, for men, but it seems to be a little more predominant within, men. I'd ask them, when did you know you were no longer in love with your wife? And the answer almost always, I would say 8 to 9 times out of 10, they would say the day I got married. And I thought that was so interesting. I thought, why would you marry someone you're not in love with? And I mean, I've been there. I've been in a relationship where I love the person deeply, but I was not in love with them, but they were safe. They were a safe option. I knew they would, never treat me bad. And, I'd gone from one really bad relationship and I was like, I don't want that again. So you go to the other extreme and you want safety. And so I kind of understand that. But that was like in my early 20s.
The day they were married, they knew.
Yeah. Most men tell me that they knew before or the day they got married. And I started to understand why. And I think it's because women were so in tune to our emotions. And marriage, yes, there's a very logical part to marriage. Like, are we compatible? Do we work well together? But men, I don't think look at the emotional component of, am I in love? Like as being an actual necessary component to spending your life with someone. I think men believe that they might be able to grow into loving, or it's just the right thing to do. That's what I heard. It just seemed like the right thing to do. And I think a lot of men are ashamed. They hold a lot of internal shame around needing to make a decision that's the right thing to do and be honorable. And it often comes at a cost of their own happiness. And so and again, I don't want to say that's all men. And, but for the men that actually got divorced, from what my experiences and what I've heard. And I really think it comes down to that because we as a society never really allowed men to understand their emotions. Of course, how could they ever learn to make a decision from that place if they don't even understand what they're feeling or what those feelings are? So
Wow.
it's really exciting to see men kind of moving into that realm and really understanding what their feelings are and learning that more. And I think as a result, I think we're going to see healthier relationships, longer, better, more stronger marriages. And again, I don't want to say I'm putting it all on the man because that's not the case. It's an equal give and take. But
Yeah.
I just thought that was an interesting
I think
revelation. I don't know does that make
it's
sense to you?
amazing. Yeah, that's really shocking, especially since they all say it, or most of them say it.
Most of them do. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And so then how long did those marriages typically last? Did you ask that
Some
question?
went for decades. Yeah. Some were like 20 years. Um, and it just was like they had children and of course, they didn't want to get divorced because of the children or it was just, there was a lot of different reasons. And I'm not one to judge for anyone's reasons of staying in a marriage or not, but I think it's just interesting when we come to this idea of what started all of this was talking about men starting to step more into their healing and understanding their own hearts and what they really want from a heart perspective.
Well, the thing is, I think that in very long marriages, you don't stay in love. It becomes a familial kind of love, but it's really a stronger love because it's not a rapturous love anymore. It's more like because I've been married since God was an infant. I don't think there ever was a time in the world when I was not married. We've been married more than 50 years. And but I'm very, very much the word in love, at least I think of the term in love as the first stage of real love. Maybe that's
Yeah,
wrong.
well, here's the thing. Love definitely evolves and grows as you
Yes.
become more intimate with yourself and then your partner, and you start to learn more about one another. And there's always going to be ebbs and flows in any relationship. You're going to hit some rough patches. You're going to hit some highs, some lows. But I think at the end of the day, you do want to have a passion for your partner where
Yes,
there's,
but the second part of marriage, I think of the first 25 years as the hardest because you go through a lot in the first 25 years. You're
Mhm.
having children.
Yep.
It's financially the hardest part, all of the things. But after the first 25 years, I've said this to brides, they hate me for it, but after the first 25 years, marriage starts to get really good. It really does
Mhm.
because you get into a deeper kind of love.
Yeah.
That's truly deep. You know each other better. It's a feeling of sort of it's a companionate, deeper love. You know each other so much better.
Sure.
You love each other really more
Hmm. Well,
because
you want your love you want to love someone who can grow with you, right?
yes, and you
And that's,
do.
yeah.
You
And,
accept each other's differences and
hmm.
it's okay.
Yes.
I mean, I can't imagine why any man would want to be married to me because I'm so into the work I do.
Uh-huh.
My husband has no interest in my work, but he accepts
That's
it.
okay, but that's
Right.
not
He accepts
necessary,
it
right?
and he loves me more for the fact that I'm so devoted to it.
I think that's beautiful.
He supports me
I,
in it completely.
yeah. And I
Can
think
you
that's one of
imagine?
the things you really want to look for is that
Yes.
your partner doesn't need to be, doesn't have to understand or care so much about what you do and from the sense of what they need. But if they know it makes you happy and they support you and
He is so devoted to
yeah,
me
that's all
and
that really
supporting me
matters.
in what I do.
Hmm.
And I am so devoted to him and actually I don't know what I would do if I didn't have him and to support me in my work. And I support him and love him in all the stories he tells. And that, I mean, he has to tell me what's in the news. He talks to me about what he's been thinking about today. To me, that kind of companionate love is very important, and you
Hmm.
don't hit it until you've been married for 35 years. Before that, I don't know what I mean, it's just very different.
Yeah.
You go
Yeah.
through stages of love,
Hmm.
but I don't even remember what it was before, but it gets a lot better.
I'm sure. Yeah. And I think that too speaks to one of the issues with current times and relationships is that I think people are all too willing to throw in the towel a little too early. And
The first 25 years can be very
yeah.
tough. There are times I would have paid you to take him. I would have paid you quite a bit, actually.
Oh my gosh, that's cute.
I mean, that's really, but now I just, as I say, I don't think anybody would want to be married to me. I can't imagine why he puts up with me because I'm so devoted to the work I do. And I don't think there's much room in my life for me, except he makes room and he insists that there be room for him. And I'm so glad he does.
Oh, that's
I don't know
sounds
how we
like a
got
great
talking about
man.
my marriage, but I just was, I think that people believe that marriage has to be a blending of two people. They have to be like this. We've talked about it. He's brought up talking about it.
Mhm.
About the best thing about marriage is that it is two people who are very different and they enjoy the difference. And he has talked about that. He
Yeah.
loves the fact that it's that way.
Yeah.
You
You
don't
know,
have to be.
I don't think I want, and of course, who knows who it's going to be, but the person that I end up marrying one day, if, that's in my cards, I think I would prefer someone who isn't in the field or is in total alignment with everything that I do because I want something different. I kind of want
Yes,
someone to shake it up for me, like when you're doing your work all day and then you get to go have a completely different conversation with your husband after, it's got to be a breath of fresh air.
yes, yes. He is
Yeah.
interested in totally different things and he talks about totally different things.
Yeah.
And it is very refreshing. But the thing is, because we have this long history, I know his history, he knows my history. We get to talk about all of that too. And we have the children and their lives. We get to talk about that. I can't imagine people who get divorced after 30 years. That's like taking a whole slice of your life and just cutting that slice right out and throwing it away. Why do people do that? It makes me crazy to think of doing that.
Well, I mean, there are different situations for everyone, and some people make really bad choices in their partners in the
I
beginning,
guess.
unfortunately, and so there's very good reason for some people to be ending that. There's oftentimes abuse and things like that that come up, but
I guess so. I
when
guess.
it's not, yes, I do though think there are in certain cases that people might be throwing in the towel too early, and it's just because they've allowed the connection to go so far apart that it's so hard to find their way back to one another.
Maybe.
And that's something that too, I think is we're not taught about the importance of putting in the daily effort into a relationship and nurturing it all the time, and taking it for granted ends up the demise of the relationship.
I don't know how we got talking about these things
Yeah.
because there's so much more in what you do. So, all right. So someone comes to you with all of these issues and the work that you do. Now, how do you help them? You do help them access and sort of get rid of these childhood issues?
I have a couple of different ways that I can work one-on-one with someone. I have group coaching programs. I offer healing retreats. One that I just held a couple of weeks ago. And so there's different ways of navigating it. And so some people just specifically want to do inner child work. Some people want to do generational trauma and inner child work. I also do soul fractal healing, which is when I talk about the secret self. And so oftentimes when we go through, especially in our childhood, we have these moments in time where we either feel ashamed or we feel embarrassed or we are deeply traumatized by something, whatever it might be, from minuscule to really extreme. In that moment, because our conscious mind doesn't form until after the age of 7, we're operating on subconscious patterns, which are imprinted into us through mostly our parents. And so we don't know the tools on how to navigate them. So when something painful comes up and you don't, as a child, maybe you don't even have the parents who know how to handle what your own emotions are and what's going on in their life. And so When it's when there's a painful moment, what we often do is we will disown the part of us that is attached to that pain. So that part of us, because we're like, well, I don't know how to deal with this pain, so I'm just going to pretend this part of me is not valuable, not good. I'm going to leave it in the past. I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist. I'm going to bury it somewhere, never to be heard of again. That way the pain stays buried and compartmentalized. And
Wow.
so this is what we call soul fractals. It's a fractalization of who you are. And this is why so many people don't actually feel authentic. They're like, who actually am I? And are operating from a place of wanting to learn, like, what does it mean to live my most authentic self? What does it mean to live my most authentic life? And in order to do that, we need to start reclaiming those parts of us that we've disowned, because even though they've been attached, there's pain attached to them and trauma. There's also oftentimes some of our greatest passions and desires and hidden talents. So in the shadows does not just lie your pain, but the gifts to unlocking your purpose and destiny.
Wow. Wow. That's huge.
Mm-hmm. So I work a lot with, especially in my Forbidden Journey program, I've designed it specifically to work with soul fractals. So the retreats, the group coaching programs, the one-to-one, all of that, I have it all designed to help someone go in there. And of course, one of the really cool things is, I love astrology, and, there's just certain parts of astrology that I've really kind of honed in on. And, there's specific things, even when I looked at my own astrological chart, I like, oh, now that I know how to read it and I'm looking at it, go, everything was laid out for me when I was born. Like the stuff I was going to have to do with my father, all like the healing that I was going to need to do, how I actually love to learn. So when we talk about the secret self, I look at the 12th house of astrology. So your final house. And in that house is all your fears, your shames, your guilt, your denial, your addictions. But it's also the house of your inner child. It's the house of retreats and healing. It's the spiritual transcendence. It's also the house of intuition and connection to God, oneness, all of that. And so if you have any planets in that house, which I have Jupiter is the planet of the teacher, higher learning, wisdom, expansion, traveling, especially foreign destinations. Well, my entire life has been all about traveling the world, and I've learned everything that I need to from my own experiences. So when you have a planet in your 12th house, everything gets internalized. You don't like to share that with the world, and you want to just learn everything in your way, your internal way. And you almost protect it because you don't believe the world will actually accept these parts of you, or worse, they might actually ruin it for you. And so I just wanted to go and travel and learn. And I literally took almost 2 years off work and traveled the world. And this is how I started my whole coaching program. I did my own healing and learning that. So when I started to look at everything, and I was like, oh, and my midheavens in Pisces, which means I was always meant to have a spiritual business that was helping people with their own intuition, their own healing, the inner child, like all this kind of stuff. Everything I started to look, I was like, oh, there's a blueprint here that everyone has. And so I utilized that blueprint with everyone to also deepen where we're going to go in their journey of uncovering their soul fractals and helping them uncover their destiny and their purpose so that they feel more in alignment with their life path.
So, all right. So each of these, do you then, as when people come to you for coaching, you then recommend, I have this or that program that might be best to help you?
Yeah. If someone's not sure, they can just email me and we can set up a free 30-minute consultation or something like that. And we'll go over everything to see where would best suit them for what their needs are, where they should be starting out and all of that. So, because there's a lot there. But it's truly miraculous. I mean, the shifts that I've seen in people's lives, are sometimes instantaneous within days of doing certain healing ceremonies and things with them. And so I know that it works. And the reason I know it works is it worked for me. And then I start using with other people and it works for them. And, it's a very different way or approach, of helping others that, is uniquely my I guess, my blueprint of what I'm offering people, but I do it that way because I know how to navigate it really well and really easily, like going into the shadow, going into the darkness, going into the trauma. That doesn't scare me. And I know how to help navigate people when they're scared and they don't know how to look at those parts of themselves and they're afraid to face some very, very extreme traumas. I mean, I was extremely.
Think about it. If they had a trauma, it is scary to face it if they don't know how to face it.
Yeah. And a lot of times people don't even know what the trauma is. They just know they feel scared.
They do. That's right. If you don't know what the solution is, because a lot of people come to me traumatized by religion. I can't begin to tell you, almost every day I get emails, sometimes a number of them in a day. Sometimes it takes me a week to get to all those emails that I get in a week. Yes. And I mean, it's bad. Christianity has done so much damage just to individual people. And they don't even, it's never Jesus they're angry with. It's always the religion. And they don't know how to fix it. They'll basically say, they'll plead with me. Do you know how I can fix this? Because they don't know where to go. Mm-hmm. And that's why I've twice now, I'm in the process of going through teaching 2 classes because I actually, Jesus does know how to fix it. Jesus is not the problem. Jesus can fix it. I just don't have the bandwidth to do this teaching. I'm trying to come up with a way to teach what he teaches. I don't have the time, but I'll figure it out. Or he'll figure it out and he'll tell me what to do. That's where we are at this point. But I identify with what you're trying to do for people because it is such a terrible thing for people to be in that position. They know there's something wrong. They know there shouldn't be, especially older people don't want to be there when they're 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. Mm-hmm. And they're so scared, but they don't know what's wrong and they don't know how to fix it. No, they don't want to look at the fears. They don't want to look at what's causing the fears because they don't know how to fix it. So if you can fix it, you can help them look at the fears. That's a wonderful place for you to be able to be if you really can fix it. Are you always able to?
And it's not even that I'm fixing anything. It's me guiding them through their process of them. Yeah. Really kind of.
You can show them how to fix it themselves. That's all they need.
And hold their hand while they're doing it because it's very scary. When I had to heal my sexual trauma from a child, that was one of the scariest things I've ever had to face. And I would have never been able to do it alone. There's no way. I had to have my healer work with me and literally hold my hand through it all, showing the compassion and the grace, that I needed to show that little girl inside of me, and also just understanding from my adult perspective. It can be extremely scary. And so having someone who knows that and understands that is a valuable guide to have by your side.
Essential. It's essential.
Yeah.
So that's what your programs do?
Yeah. I've been doing this healing journey since I was 20, and in the last 2 years or so, I've done all of it just by going deep within my own self, doing all the healing work. But I started using a little plant medicine, like ayahuasca and mushrooms, which made massive breakthroughs for me in other areas and have helped me actually design I had a couple mushroom journeys that actually helped me design this entire Forbidden Journey program, showed me how.
Oh my goodness, you use mushrooms in your journey.
Yeah. And it actually showed me how to heal because I learned how to heal the generational trauma from my father. That was passed down to me. That was a big financial block for me. And I didn't understand why, because I had never experienced any trauma around finances, but my dad did as a child. And so I was shown in this journey, the generational trauma. I was literally shown the DNA strands within me and all the different faces and all, showing me my father as the big culprit. And when I say culprit, just as in the one who experienced the trauma. And basically I was shown you're going to learn how to help others heal this without having to take mushrooms. And so, it's been a wild experience of using a little bit of plant medicine to almost open up doors where, when been doing this for so many years, decades at that, sometimes, you get stuck in your own patterns, in your own ways, and this kind of helped break through some things. And so it's been really successful, and a lot of my clients have benefited from that. So there's just amazing ways and doors for us to utilize in this entire human experience of understanding.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you're able to help people to face the things that are blocked in them and to unblock them and to heal from them, that's really a big deal. Where are you located?
I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, that's a beautiful area, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. I love the mountains here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they're beautiful. Yeah. So, all right. So what if someone is not in the Colorado area? Do you work with people on Zoom?
Most of my stuff is online. So yeah, I have clients all over the world. And so I do group coaching online. I do one-to-one coaching online. Of course, all my academy courses are kind of as you want, like you can sign up and do them as you go, as it's like feels right for you. And then of course my retreats are in person. And then from time to time, I'll do one-to-one coaching in person here in Colorado. Sometimes taking people on a journey themselves. I do guided journeys with people that are open to that. That's what they're feeling called to. But I know that that's certainly not the calling for everyone, and it's not right for everyone. And so I always think it's best to first know how to navigate yourself on your own, like in a sense of knowing how to go in there through your own experience without any kind of external assistance. But it's beneficial though, when you know you're called to it and it feels right, it can be a complete game changer. So I started my business online. That's how I originally started, but working with people, especially at the retreats. I mean, I've literally experienced healing miracles happen right in front of my face. One man, after his journey, he had lost his hearing on the left side of his ear when he was almost 20 years prior. He got hit over the head walking out of a bar and was left for dead. And someone found him, rushed him to the hospital. The surgeons all worked on his head, but his hearing had been severely diminished to the point where you needed to stand on the right side of him to talk so that he could hear you properly. After his journey, he saw all these celestial beings descend upon him and utilize all these tools were working on his head. And it was so fast and in such different dimensions that he didn't know what was going on. And then the next day he realized when we were integrating everything, he realized his hearing had been completely restored.
Wow.
And so that was amazing. And then another woman at the same retreat, she had her vision severely improved, like dramatically improved, to the point where when she got in her car to drive home, after it was all over, she noticed that when she put her glasses on, she couldn't see the road very well. And so she realized she needed to take them off and she could see the road a lot better. And so when she went to go to her eye doctor to get her eyes checked, her doctor's jaw was to the floor. She's like, Nicole, you should have seen her face. She was just gobsmacked at the dramatic improvement in my eyesight. And even her doctor was like, these things can happen, especially when you do that emotional healing and mental healing, like the physical changes can come through. And I think for her, why her eyesight improved was she was finally allowing herself to see things she never was willing to see before. Wow. So these things were literally like overnight healing. Another girl just at the last retreat just had a massive Kundalini awakening. And her heart now from being so closed is so open, and she's feeling so much love and so connected to everything. She's got orbs visiting her all the time now. And so it's really remarkable what is possible when our hearts are open and our minds are open and they're in alignment, and we're doing the necessary steps to break free of the things that hold us back.
That is just thrilling. That's thrilling to hear. It really is. But it's not surprising. Not at all.
You know, it shouldn't be surprising after these many years, right? But
No,
but when it does
no,
happen in front of your face, it's like, wow.
no.
But this is what is capable within each and every one of us.
That's right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. All of our limitations are self-imposed
They really
entirely.
are. That was actually the cornerstone of my entire healing journey from 30 on. It's what my book the book I wrote many years ago, I published it in 2015 or 2016. Um, it's called Inflexible Me, expanding past the inflexible barriers of the body, mind, and soul.
Yeah.
And it's because my whole life I was inflexible physically. I was a superstar athlete, great at all that. But when yoga hit the scene in my early 20s and everyone was wanting to do yoga, I couldn't have imagined a scarier scenario for myself. I was like, there's no
Right.
way I'm going to a yoga class. I suck at bending. My body doesn't want to bend.
No.
And, when I took my year and a half sabbatical and I was backpacking by myself through Costa Rica, someone asked me if I'd like to try a yoga class with them. And this is after I tried it once before and I hated it. And I was like, oh, and I was like, well, you're in Costa Rica, when in Rome. So I did one and I ended up loving it. And the whole experience was so different than my first one. And I vowed to myself, you know what, Nicole, in every town that you travel to, try a yoga class. And so I did. And shortly after making that decision, I met a yoga teacher who helped me see that my body was capable of so much more when I opened my mind. My mind believed my body was inflexible. My mind believed I couldn't do it. So therefore my body wouldn't do it.
Of
And,
course.
and so this was it's so rudimentary, right? So, but it's fundamental. And I just started to realize, wow, I think I'm the problem. I'm the one who's
Yes,
holding.
you're always the
Yeah.
problem. Isn't that so true?
So that was actually the fundamentals of a lot of my coaching now and how I got to where I am.
Absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
my dear, that's so true.
So
Oh, I'm so sorry we've come to the end of our time. We have to do this again. I've been enjoying this so much. And we've touched on kind of the start of what I wanted to talk with you about today.
oh, we've got all the time in the world. So
So
I would be honored to come back if you'll
well,
have me.
I will definitely have you back. We have a lot more to talk about. Oh, we really have gone over actually. But what would you like people to take away from our conversation today?
There is nothing to be afraid of your own darkness. In fact, shifting your perspective around what the dark is versus the light, know that both are essential and both have negatives and positives. We can easily be blinded by our own light, as much as we can be in fear of our own darkness. And when you actually befriend your own darkness, you can turn your fears into your allies. And you'll discover that hidden right next to your pain, or sometimes even entangled in your pain, are all the treasure trove of your golden nuggets that will provide you with what you need to unlock your purpose, your passions, your authenticity, and just feeling way more aligned in your life so that when it comes to making decisions, both small and large, you feel really good about the direction you're taking. So don't be afraid of the darkness. The darkness holds a lot of power and potential, and it's important to know that both play a role in our lives.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said, my dear. But we are going to do this again. I really have enjoyed this so much.
Thank you for having me.
My dear friends, this has been so delightful. But once again, we've come to the end of our time. This has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. I'm so happy you could be with us today. Please never forget that you are a powerful, eternal being. You never began, you never will end. And when you get that, it changes everything in your life for the better. Next week, our guest will be Sandra Champlain, who will be with us for the 17th time. Sandra is a real force for good in this world. She does so much to educate people about the afterlife and about what reality truly is and what's going on in the world. her whole life is remarkable, and it's so beautiful. She lives with and cares for her mother. And she and her mother are now participating in a wonderful book that celebrates the role of mothers in the world right at this time of year. And the book is just out, and already it's a New York Times bestseller. Sandra herself is such a beautiful force for good. And you're going to want to be here with us. You won't want to miss this. So please be sure to join us next week. And this week, I never have people on for the first time, very rarely, but Nicole Frolick, and by the way, her website is Nicole Frolick, Frolick.com, just how it sounds. She has a great agent, and her agent convinced me, you've got to have her on. So I did, and I'm so glad I did, because hasn't this been fun? What can I say? She looks really too young to have 25 plus years experience. And I was skeptical that she could be doing all this stuff, but she's tapped into things about people and about how life damages people. And I think what she's doing is really beautiful. I want to talk with her a lot more about it. She's the host of Enlighten Up, which is a weekly podcast, and the founder of The Forbidden Journey, which is a premium coaching program. She's produced over 50 guided meditations, and she offers a variety of online courses. But I think most of all, what she's learned is how to help people to uncover the parts of themselves that they've hidden away, and to trust her enough to help them really open themselves up so she can help them become whole again and to be all that they can be. As I say, her website is NicoleFrolick.com, so go there so you can learn more, and we will have her back. And as you know, Craig Hogan is the president of Seek Reality Online, SeekReality.com. You can go there. You can learn everything you need to know about the afterlife, because the afterlife is your own real life. Whether you like it or not, your life is eternal, so you may as well start learning now all about it. And teachingsbyjesus.com is your single resource for all the beautiful divine truths that are brought to us in perfect love by the greatest teacher of them all, Master Jesus. As I said today when we were talking, Jesus had nothing to do with creating the religion that bears his name now. And as it dies, finally, we're going to get to learn from the greatest teacher of them all. I have books available, but unfortunately, I don't have any time to talk about them. But most of you, I think, know what they are. I have to turn off my timer, or it's going to yell in our face. If you wanted to talk about my books, if you want to talk with me about anything at all, just go to the green contact block on RobertaGrimes.com, and I'll talk with you about anything. But just be sure you give me your correct email address, because if I give you an email and then it bounces, it makes me sad. You don't want to ruin my day. And all the more than 500 past episodes of Seek Reality are available wherever audio podcasts can be found. You also can see new video episodes each week on Roku or Fire Stick, YouTube, and elsewhere. Meanwhile, this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Please enjoy and make the most of this coming week in our one reality, always knowing that you are a powerful, eternal being, and you, most of all, in this whole universe. You are infinitely, powerfully, and eternally, perfectly loved.
You've been listening to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Roberta blogs and answers questions at RobertaGrimes.com. Join us every week as we explore what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about the one reality we all share. Knowing the truth changes everything.